Welcome, you're watching Head to Head. I'm Antonina Antosha with UATV. This year, Ukraine celebrates the 100th anniversary of the Day of Unity. The story behind Unity Day dates back to January 22, 1919, when Eastern and Western Ukraine was united through the Treaty of Unity. Nowadays, this event symbolizes the unity of all Ukrainian aspirations to live in a sovereign, independent and democratic state. To talk more about the importance of Unity Day, we welcome to the studio today Serhiy Ryabenko. He's an expert of the Institute of National Remembrance. Hello, and thank you for coming. So I think today would be the perfect day to remember how Ukraine gained unity on January 22nd in 1919.
First of all, I'd like to start a year before, the year of 1918, when in this exact day, the 22nd of January, the Ukrainian parliament, the Central Rada of Ukraine, adopted the Fourth Universal, which proclaims the independence, the holy independence of the Ukrainian National Republic. And the year after, in this exact day, it was the day when Western and Eastern part of Ukraine, the two Ukrainian states, united in one and signed this act of unity. So this year we have 100 years of celebrating of this act of unity, and also we celebrate 101 year of the independence of Ukraine during the period of Ukrainian National Revolution.
Nevertheless, Ukraine has been living as an independent state for 25 years now. What are the lessons that ordinary Ukrainians should learn out of that quarter of a century period? The most important.
I think the most important lesson of the former period is that when Ukrainians are united, when all the Ukrainians who work in the governmental institutions, the civil sector, the ordinary citizens of Ukraine, when they work in single rates, when they do everything to rebuild the sovereign state, then the sovereign state may appear and may exist. When we start fighting between each other inside Ukraine, then it is a very sad story, and it is one of the lessons of the period of the Ukrainian National Revolution, when during the period of 1917, 1921, there were very many politicians, very many ordinary people who were fighting between each other and who had struggling discussions on the course of this Ukrainian national state, on who are the enemies of this state, with whom we should be allies, should be allies with Soviet Russia or with the other countries. And after that it was a very sad story when mostly the whole territory of Ukraine was occupied westernly by Poland, and the eastern part was occupied by the Soviet Russia and become the part of the Soviet Union. The next lesson for me, I think that one of the reasons why the Ukrainian national state during the period of Ukrainian National Revolution fall, it was because either politicians or the ordinary people, they do not understand why do we need our sovereign state, and exactly why do we need our sovereign army to defend this state. And there were, in that period, there were very many discussions about do this sovereign state need its army or not, and it was also a very sad story when at the period of 1917, more than 100 Ukrainians who were the soldiers of the Russian Imperial Army, they were eager to be the soldiers of the independent Ukraine, and 2 years after there were some thousands of these people left who exactly fought against the Russian aggression.
Knowing all this now, what could we and what should we pass to our younger generations of Ukrainians?
I think we should tell our younger generations that the story of the independent Ukraine did not begin in the year 1991. It was the date of 24th of August 1991. It was just the date when we renewed our independence that was proclaimed in the year 1918. And this date was maybe the result of all these struggles for the independence of Ukraine, for the creation of the independent state, and it was also one of the lessons of that period, because if at that time we had our army, we had our state, then it will be, I think, for Ukrainians less sad story than it was. Maybe we did not have passed through such competitions as Holodomor, as the political repressions of the Soviet period, and many others. I think that nowadays we should not have also the discussion whether we need our independent state or not. I think everyone, a younger generation and older generation, they should now understand that the sovereign state, the Ukrainian state, is the possibility for them to make influence on the policy of this state, on the government of this state, and to announce its course during the elections. If we do not have our sovereign state, then the decision should be decided somewhere else, in Moscow, in any other cities outside of Ukraine.
Coming back to the year 1918, when the unity of Ukraine was first written out on the paper, which historical figure would you call the hero of that time?
Oh, there were very many of them. First of all, it was Simon Petlura, the head of the directory of the Ukrainian National Republic, from the part of eastern Ukraine. There were many people who were the generals, the officers of the Ukrainian army, who exactly in this period were fighting in the eastern part of Ukraine against the Bolshevik aggression. It was a very famous Ukrainian officer like Petro Bolbochan, for example. For some part, it was even the hetman of Ukraine, Pavlo Skoropadsky, who in year 1917, 1918, who was also the general of the Ukrainian National Republic, and who also fought against this first Bolshevik aggression, and who for some part he saved Kiev from one of the Soviet armies who comes here to occupy Kiev. It was also Evgen Konovalets, who was also one of the officers of the such formation of the Ukrainian National Army as that was called Sichevi Streltsi, and after the fall of the Ukrainian National Revolution, he becomes the chief of the organization of Ukrainian nationalists, who on the territory of Poland, on the western Ukraine that was occupied by the Polish state, who also fight for the freedom of Ukraine. From the western Ukraine, there were also very many famous figures, like, for example, Dmytro Vitovsky. He was also one of the officers of the Western Ukrainian Republic, and whose soldiers just gave the possibility for the politicians, for the former deputies of the Austro-Hungarian parliament, to proclaim this declaration of the independence of Western Ukraine. It was, there were also very many famous figures, I think, but these ones, there maybe were
They played the most vital part.
Yes, yes.
Okay, this year Ukraine marks the 100th year of the unity of the country, and I know that the Institute of National Remembrance had issued several sayings or additions to commemorate this day. Could you tell them that a little more?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to tell about one of our some older project that we started 2 years ago. It was the project of creating board games connected with the period of the Ukrainian Revolution. It was called.
Now you have an app for a smartphone, am I right?
Yes,
okay.
yes. We have published these board games, and this year we also have one more presentation of this game for the scholars, for the students, and we would like to make some kind of tournament between them, because it is not just the ordinary board game where a person could move some marks on the field, but it is also the game when the gamer should answer some questions connected with the period of Ukrainian history of 20th century. So for the scholars, for the students who are now studying the history of Ukraine, it would be a rather interesting thing. The other project that we finished last year, it was the project of the songs of Ukrainian Revolution. It was the disc that was created by Taras Komponichenko and his partners from the Horea Kazatska music board. And nowadays, in this January 21, we should have a presentation of this disc. So everyone who wants to be a part of such presentation, to hear such songs, they are welcomed. I think it would be either in the building of the Kyiv City Council or somewhere, some other building in the center of Ukraine. But the more information you should get from our official website of Institute.
What about the calendar?
Oh yes, the calendar, it was also one of the biggest projects that we started and finished eagerly the last year. This calendar started from the other project, from the such packages connected with the generals of the period of Ukrainian Revolution. And after that, from these packages, we created the calendar for this year. But also all these pictures, all this information, we transferred to our Ministry of Internal Affairs, Ministry of the Defense, for our soldiers who are now fighting in the east of Ukraine for our freedom against the same aggressor that the Ukrainian soldiers fought in the period of Ukrainian Revolution. And in this calendar, the one may see the pictures of all these generals, and he may get some information of their biography and on what were their deeds during this Ukrainian war against the Bolshevik Russia.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
That was Serhiy Ryabenko. He's an expert of the Institute of National Remembrance. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more with UATV.